giving y'all two videos tonight because I feel like I should. I've been lacking a little bit on the YouTube. I want to talk about wanting to change something that is unfortunately not able to be changed, aka changing the past, which you obviously cannot do. You know, I feel like a lot of people would, if you ask them, they would say, if you ask them, is there things you've done in the past that you would want to change? And a lot of people would say yes. That's the natural instinct. A lot of people are not a lot. I would say almost nobody is perfect. Nobody has done every single thing perfectly in their life. Everyone has had a fuck up, whether it's to one time, two times, 20 times, 30 times. Everybody has fucked up in their life. And unfortunately, you can't change what you have done already, and because you can't, that's something that people stress out about a lot. And I've had those thoughts. I've done things in my life, I've not done things in my life I should have done, that I wish I could go back and do completely differently. But everything that I've done in my life has led me to the point that I'm at now. Everything that I've done in my life has led me to living in Rome, has led me to pursuing my master's degree out here, etc. And I think that you should have to look at stuff like that in a more positive viewpoint, because failures are never actual failures. It's just negative steps closer towards success. People look at fuck ups in the past and think of it as failures, but in reality it's just lessons you learned from those mistakes. But mistakes will only help you greatly in the future, because you know that you can't make those same mistakes. You already made it once, so why would you make it again? I could go back and change so many things. I didn't take college seriously. I was goofing off. I didn't care about my body. All this and that. And if I took college seriously, yeah, I would have been graduated by now. I would have had a job, maybe, considering the job market's terrible. But I would be in a terrible mental spot, because I know that if I was living home right now, if I was not in this amazing city of Rome, that I would not be anywhere near where I want to be. Because living out here has only just made me appreciate life so much more. I see life differently. I see different cultures. I see different experiences. I was walking through Florence yesterday, every once in a while I get this realization that I'm really living out my high school dream. I've always wanted to come to Europe and live here for a longer period of time, but I didn't know how I was going to do it. And then the opportunity came about, and I just went with it. I had the realization that, damn, I'm really living in fucking Rome. I'm traveling to Florence for 2 days because it's so close. My life could be so much fucking worse than it is right now. But it's not. I always put this stress on myself. I always, bug myself out, because I'm like, if I did this differently, I would be better off here. Or if I did that, I would be better off there, And I've been preaching to myself recently, live in the present. The past happened. Yesterday already happened. Tomorrow's not promised to anybody. Nothing is promised except for the current state you're living in, the present. Nothing is promised besides that. The past already happened. The future is untold. I think people, one, they dwell on the past way too much, and dwell on the past is a good way to stay in the past. And two, they look into the future too much without realizing how good the present is. I think that people have this idea that success can only come if your sole goal is success. But success comes when you least expecting it, you know? Success comes when you're living the best possible present you can live, because living great in the present will will build the foundation, build the discipline, build the character you need to be successful in the future. So I just think that people should live in the present more. You know, you nothing's promised to you in this life in the future. Nothing is. The whole world could end tomorrow, and who are you but this sad, depressed kid because your whole mindset was, I want to be this person in the future, and when the world ends, you never took the chance to appreciate the present, appreciate what you're doing, to appreciate where you have came from. I think that's a big thing that people have to work on nowadays. You know, not judging themselves off what they did or what they did or what they can do, but what they're doing currently, because people tend to judge you about what you did without knowing what you were going through when you did that certain thing. And I think that like that quote like kind of ties into this whole idea of living in the present, because you make decisions based on where you want to be and the person you want to be, but you don't, like, how do I say this, you're not living to be the best person that you can be, because your entire focus is on who you could be, when you have total control of the present version of yourself and what the present version can be, and you're not living in the future, you're living in the present, and you have to rewire your brain to make yourself appreciate like the beauty that life has to offer when you're taking a chance to live in that life and not live in the past or the future.